waste that and get over it if you just go with his love and kindness. And the third landmine is compromise. And this one I'm just going to go to 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 4. It's about King Solomon. And it says, "As Solomon grew older, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God as the heart of David his father." So David was a great man of God, and he had this son Solomon, and many of you know that Solomon talked to God, and he gave him wisdom, and along with wisdom, he gave him money, power, and he was known as the wisest person ever, pretty much. But in the end of his days, near the end of his days, he started just marrying tons of women and lusting after women, and all these women most of them were not godly at all. So he let women and just that consume his life. And God said to him later, he says, "Since this is your attitude and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. For the sake of your father David, I will not during your lifetime, but I will tear it out of the hand of your son. I will not tear the whole kingdom, but one tribe for the sake of David my servant and for the sake of Jerusalem which I have chosen." And then all of a sudden Solomon has many adversaries. I mean, it wasn't a very warring time then, but because of Solomon's wisdom. But then he raised up the Edomites to attack him. And so that just shows you compromising. God gives you something great. God gives you an opportunity to do great things, and then you changing later on down the road, or you using that gift in the wrong way. Like Solomon, he just chose to marry a lot of ungodly women, and that led to him compromising. He even started worshiping his wives, his concubines, gods, instead of just worshiping the one true God. And so he started compromising. He just gave up ground slowly and slowly, even after all God had blessed him with. So you may think, oh, later down the road I'll make the choice or whatever, but God is giving you the opportunities in your life that you may never get again. And it says he wasn't going to take away the kingdom from Solomon in his lifetime, but instead he was going to punish his son for what he had done because of that compromise he had made. So you may feel like you're supposed to act a certain way or do something that God tells you to do, and you feel, oh, well, I need to do this, but you don't. Instead, you make the choice to compromise and do what your friends are doing or do what you know isn't right. And when you're doing that, you may not see any immediate effects, but maybe you might have set an example that sometime down the road that person would have been like, well, I know this is the way you are, and I know, well, what's up with that? What makes you that way? And you can say, it was God. I follow God's example. But you may not. You'll miss that opportunity if you do not live the lifestyle that God has given you. So don't compromise. Just live every day trying to honor God and trying to listen to what He's telling you to do and doing that. Because any little thing, I mean, you could affect somebody in a way that they will go off and affect hundreds or thousands or maybe even only one other person. But your choices will affect what happens. So that's all I wanted to say. I just hope you guys can overcome anger, compromise, and fear. That's it.
Good job. Your mom said to ask